recording on YouTube, and it seems to be working, so we're good. And then our microphone and camera seems to be working this morning. I don't see anyone online yet, so we'll go ahead and start it. Before we do, let's go over the calendar and the course material to see what we covered today, and also on Thursday, the last lecture on Thursday, and take a look on also the remaining assignment that we have for this semester before we can close out this class. So let's go to full screen mode. Okay, let's see. Seems to be running. We are in full screen mode, and seems to be active. Then we'll go to the recording on YouTube. Make sure the full screen mode doesn't kick us out. That's good. So everything seems to be working this morning. Let's go ahead and start it. And I don't see anyone online yet. I don't know Shane will be joining us, but that's okay, as long as you are keeping up with the assignments. First, this is, as I said, the last week, so we are on the Tuesday, 25th. Okay, most of you have done the previous assignment, I think, except one or maybe two. And there is a last assignment coming up. There are two of them. One is actually a programming assignment, 5.1, and we will talk about it today as usual. And 5.2 is a final report for you to write about this class and what you have learned and something like that. So please go ahead and read it and write up the report and submit it. So again, finishing up the grading for you. And need to be submitted by this Friday. I urged you last time already to start early, because you have to submit everything to me by Friday, end of this Friday, so I can finishing up the grading and the final grade for you for this class. And a couple discussion, simple discussion, so go ahead and finishing up. And I think discussion 5.2 is just a wrap up, so you don't really have to do too much with it. And but the main thing is on 5.1 discussion on pop-up. So just join in and provide your input on that, then you'll be done. Okay, that will wrap up the class as the last week. Okay, let's go ahead and look at your module. So we don't have much left. We have go over different things last few weeks, and we'll start something new. Some features for rollover, slideshows, and then on Thursday we'll talk about pop-ups and frames. Okay, so today's focus is on rollover and slideshows. It will cover chapter 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so mainly today we talk about rollovers and slideshows, and we will look at some external websites too. But this covers chapter 4, 5, and 6. Let's take a look in chapter 4 first. Okay. Before we do, let's take a look on that. Okay, no one else joined. Okay. Chapter 4. It's working with images. Last time I already told you to pre-read this chapter, particularly for the assignment, final assignment purpose. Okay, I hope you did. Otherwise, you may not have much time to finishing up the assignment 5.1, which is due this Friday. This is not a difficult one. We'll talk more about it at the end of the class. In fact, there's an example in this section called Building Wraparound Slideshow, which I'm going to show you today. And then that you could use for your assignment 5.1. And should not take too much for you to finishing up the assignment with this example. Okay. But first thing first, we'll cover the material on rollover. I did look at the external website, the module linked to you too. Doesn't give you too much about rollover, give you different topics and something like that. It's good to read them if you have time. Otherwise, read the book and understand what rollover is if you don't know it now. The examples are quite simple. I have cut-paste that example into Eclipse so we can do a show and tell with the code. And the book already have step-by-step explanation. So either way will work for you. If you have read the book, you should understand what rollover is. Chapter 5 is on Windows and Frame, which is covered by Thursday. Chapter 6, really the form handling, we have covered that previously, so we are not going to do too much with that. I think we have done a multiple lecture concerning about form handling and on submit and how to handle the events on a particular form. So really the focus is on chapter 4 on images, rollover, slideshows, and then chapter 5 on windows and frames, which we cover on Thursday. Okay, so let's first take a look on creating a rollover. What is a rollover? This simple example show you that, and then I'm going to use Eclipse. But before we do, see what anyone shown. Okay, I guess Shane may not be joining today. So I keep watching, making sure the camera and then the microphones are working, and they are, and also the YouTube recording continue to be working. That's good. That's important. I do not want you to miss this particular lecture. So let's take a look on Eclipse, which I already preload the rollover. So basically I just cut paste the example in the book, except changing the name a little bit. So because they use script 01 and things like that, it's not really intuitive. So I change it to rollover 1. Other than that, it's the same. Didn't change anything. Of course, I changed the image because I don't have the image they have. So I changed the image name. Okay. So I just used the old checkerboard images that I captured for last lecture and used it here. Okay. But I didn't change the ID. So everything is the same. So the basic HTML support rollover. Okay, then what is rollover? Let's look at it before we look at the code. Let's open it with the browser. So this is rollover. When your mouse moves over, and the image will change. And when you roll out, image will change back. That's called rollover. Okay, it's quite simple. Okay, that's called rollover. The effect is quite well. It shows you the interactive image change, and in fact it's already supported in HTML. However, some of the older browser may not support the on mouse over, on mouse out feature, but you know, most of the browser you use or people use are newer and they do support this feature. So in general, you can do rollover just by doing this, a hypertext link, okay, with the document, whatever document you identified, and then set it to an image. And then on the mouse out, that means when you moved out, then you change it to another one. Okay? Okay? See that? And the mouse over, and then when it's mouse out. Okay? So change it from checker 1 to checker 2, from checker 2 to checker 1 actually. Okay? That's all. So just by doing one statement or couple statement here, or one hypertext link, you could have the effect of rollover. Pretty simple, straightforward. Take a look on example in the book, and it gives you a line-by-line explanation how it does that. So pretty straightforward, no tricks there, other than having two images swap between when the mouse over or out. Okay. However, there are a couple issues. First, I already said some of the older browsers may not support this feature on mouse over or mouse out. Second, which is I think more important, is the image that you have when you do the swap come from the server. Okay, because when you switch, when you have the mouse over, the browser then will look at your image path and then load it onto your HTML page on demand. And the images, of course, are not on the user's browser yet. So when you do the first over, mouse over, it will go to the server. Of course, here we only do it locally, but if it's truly a web application, then it will go to the server and download the image. If the image are big, it may take some time, so it can feel the slow speed when you do that rollover, okay? Because we are using a strict HTML page, doesn't have the image preload. But after the image load, most browser will have it cached. Then the second time you do the rollover, it will be okay, because it's already loaded onto the browser cache. Okay, but yet the first time you do a rollover, it will be slow because of that. Okay, that's the problem. Of course, this class is for JavaScript, so we want to show you the equivalent way doing in JavaScript. Okay, so I'm going to show you that. But before we do, let's see anyone join. So Shane didn't join, so probably he will not be joining today, which is okay. So let's continue. So what is the better way or other way to do it in JavaScript? Okay, of course, we have to include the JavaScript in your HTML, and all you have to do a simpler way. Now we do two instead of one. You could just do one, but the book example do two buttons. Okay, and so we just follow it and do two. But you could have just do it one. It's okay too. Okay, so you don't really need two hypertext link statements, but the book do twice, so we did that. So not much there other than creating the IDs and placeholder for those images. Okay, let's take a look on it first before we go to explaining what it does. So that's what it is. You have two of them, and then when you move the mouse over, it will switch to another. Okay, same thing. Okay, it just switched to my checker number 3. So 1, 2, and then the 3. Okay, so that's roll over on two of them. So quite simple HTML. The effect come from JavaScript. A simple JavaScript as it's given in the book on that particular. So the book used the arrow images. Of course, I use checker. Okay. So creating a more effective rollover. That's what we just look at. Okay. Okay. So I have line by line explanation, but I'll do that here. So first, just like others, we do on load initiate the function, and making sure we set up for it. The purpose of it here, the difference between here and the HTML is to overcome one of the issue is to preload images, get it ready first when you load the page. So when you do the rollover, it doesn't have to request the image from the server, so it'll be a lot faster. Okay. So the way to do that is you have to do a image setup with the files, the image file that you have. Okay. So what it does here is it set up a loop to go over each of the image file or tag element and making sure they are the hypertext element, and then you try to set up the image. So you go over each of them, there are only two in this case. You go over each of them by going through a loop, a counting loop. Okay, by looking at the document image length, so we come back with 2, of course. So you do 0 and 1, so 2 of them. And then when it's 0, then it will call and making sure it is the hypertext link image. Then you go to set up with the image passed into it. The trick is here, you create a new image object. When you create a new image object, then automatic the file will be loaded by the browser by running this section of the JavaScript. So once you do that, you create it and making sure you set it up, the image with the file name, the source. And remember this function pointing to the current element, so it's a anonymous function call, okay, no name, associated with the mouse out. Okay, so when that happens, you switch the image. So you set it up for the mouse out and mouse over images, 2 of them. Okay. So for every image tag inside the HTML, you set up the image out and you also set up the image over images. I hard coded, of course, because that's different, a little bit different than the book. Okay, that's the only different I changed. So I changed it to my third checker, which is the red one. But basically, the JavaScript go over each of the image and change the, set up the image out and image over for that particular image. You do that for every one of them in HTML. That's all it does. Quite simple. Okay, once you do, then when you roll over, because as we said before, because the images were preloaded, because we do a new image object which preload the images, so when you do the rollover, once the page is loaded, the image is already inside the browser loaded. Then when you switch over to other images, it's a lot quicker. Of course, these images are small, but imagine if you do have big images, then the effect will be a lot better without loading the image. Okay? So that's what the difference is. And also show you, of course, the interactiveness of JavaScript. So basically, all the effect is then, instead of putting those into a complex HTML statement, which is content only, right? We want HTML to be content only, and CSS for style, and JavaScript for the effect. So we basically change that, making sure the HTML have the content only, and then we switch those effects into JavaScript to do the rollover. So that's the better way to organize your program. Make sense? Contents in HTML, style in CSS, and then the interactiveness in JavaScript, like this. So they are completely separated and make it a lot easier to change and to maintain. In fact, like this, if you have more images to put into your program, it will be a lot easier because this script will run. It doesn't matter how many images you put in, because it go over the loop. It dynamically find out how many images you have on your page, which is associated with the hypertext link, and then set up the over and out images. So it doesn't matter how many lines you add on, it will work quite easily. Okay, so make the maintenance of the program a lot easier. That's one of the purpose you use JavaScript, to have those effects outside of the HTML, not to mix with the content. Okay, so make them outside and make your HTML much cleaner. Makes sense? Okay, so that is rollover. It shows you the basic way doing HTML rollover, which is doable with the new browser, but have some deficiency on loading the images dynamically. So we show you another way we believe is more of the book at least, and I believe it is too, more effective way, and also separate. I think the main thing is also separate the effect out of the HTML. I think that's more important. So make your HTML much cleaner, and then having the interactive effects put into JavaScript, so your code, the program is much cleaner and easier to maintain that way. Okay, that's the purpose, right? To separate those three. So that's it for rollover. Okay, this is a simple example. Of course, you can do a lot more interactive effect using rollover. Okay, so it's a good example, at least to show you the differences between HTML rollover and JavaScript rollover, and what you can do to enhance your HTML page to make it more interactive and more interesting. Okay, let's roll over. Before we go to the slideshow, we'll do a little bit, we'll check on some of the JavaScript example. Before we do, okay, no one else joined. We're still recording. And we are still recording in YouTube, that's good. So before we go on to slideshow, the second topic for this lecture, we'll go take a look on one of the websites, the module upon YouTube. These have nothing to do with, which I find out have nothing to do with rollover or slideshow, but however, I do want to show you they are good examples of different basic, I won't say advanced feature, basic features, how to write JavaScript on different purpose. Okay, like the window pop-up, okay, which we'll talk about next week. So it does give you the code. Okay, some of them are inline JavaScript code, and then how to do a pop-up, things like that. Of course, we are not talking about pop-up today yet, but it does give you many different examples. Okay, I think Chris asked me about the time delay, so you can check at those examples. And we have done the current time. Okay, using the JavaScript Java functions capability, and then we display the time. So those are good examples. So if you don't remember, or you find another way to do things, of course the loop we have explained before. So those are simple examples. Okay, show you different way doing it in JavaScript, and show you some of the functions, random number, rounding. Okay, and I think it's quite well, it's easy to follow. So if you don't remember, just go back to this page to find out some of the basic features. They're not advanced features, very simple basic examples. How to sort arrays, how to do reverse on array, extract element from the array. So pretty easy to follow. So I think it is a good reference page. Mark it in your bookmark. If you do a lot of JavaScript, okay, so it's a quick reference and give you simple example, easy to follow. There are other topics, okay, included here. Okay. So you can click on those and check on some of the examples, the tutorial they have, which is helpful. Okay. So not just the simple cases here, there are also tutorial for each of them. So I think it's a simple website for your reference purpose. Okay, just to make sure you have that. This is from the link from the rollover and slideshow. Okay, please take a look. Now, let's go to the second topic for today, which is slideshow. Let's go back to the book. Which is still in chapter 4. You look at chapter 4, we have go over the basic rollover and then the more effective rollover by using JavaScript. Just went through that. There are others, 3-state rollover and rollover from a link and other topics on rollover, a little bit more advanced and other features. If you're interested in adding those features, please take a look on those too. But to the minimum, you need to understand these two, how the basic rollover work on HTML and the simple JavaScript rollover. But if you're interested in other effects, then go ahead and read those sections and example. Okay, how to cycle banners. Okay, but we will check up this section called building wraparound slideshow. Okay. This one, another simple example to do slideshows. That is your assignment, the last assignment, to do a slideshow and avatar for your game user to begin your game profile and the user profile, and then to select the avatar on assignment 5.1. We'll talk more about it later after we finish the lecture. But this example shows you exactly how or what you could do on assignment 5.1. Same thing. I have cut paste that, whoopsie, into Eclipse. Okay. So basically, it's a simple HTML include the hypertext links and images included in there. Let's show the effect, then we'll explain what it is. Okay. Before we move on, okay, no one else, John. It's okay. Still recording. Good. Okay. Let's continue. So that is the code cut paste from the book. Changing a little bit the title, make it more meaningful. Okay, and change the size a little bit because the image, I don't have the images. So I changed the image size a little bit so it looks a little bit better. Okay, that's all. Other than that, I didn't change the names. Okay, all these names are still the same, except changing the size. Okay, and so the code still work, and the name of the picture, that's all. And of course, we included a JavaScript, so very basic. So what it does is this, once you display, say welcome, selecting a checker piece. Okay, so what you do is you click on, it's a slideshow, that means it will keep just like any slideshow. You click on next, it will go to the next image on the list, as many as you need it. It wrap around, so you go back 1, 2, 3, and then go back 1, and same thing on the reverse. Okay, it's a slideshow for people to go over. So just like 5.1 assignment, you have multiple image, at least 2, 3 of them, or 3 at least. Then you go over, let the user select whatever one you need. So that's the slideshow required for assignment 5.1. Okay, so that's it, the slideshow. Let's take a look on how we do that in JavaScript. Okay, so basically you can see you have just an image display with 2 hypertext link. Okay, same thing, we want to initialize it first. Okay, you initialize the links for previous and next, setting up the on click to be process previous and process next. Okay, now I did a little bit more than that because I looked at the wrong. Okay, this is the one from the book. Okay, the other one is something I add on for assignment 5.1. But anyway, so basically you have initialized. The first thing, you have an array of your images. Okay, for your slideshow, depends how many you have. Just keep entering the names into this array, and then you set up the previous and then the next link when they click. So for the previous one, since it's a wraparound, you want to make sure it's non-zero. If it's non-zero, then you set it to be the length again, which is 3 in this case. Okay, then you subtract 1 because you always start with 0, right? You always start with 0. So here we have 3, so it's 0, 1, and 2. So that's why you subtract 1, and then you find out where the picture is, and then change the source into the pictures. That they change to when they do previous. It's a wraparound, so when it's 0, then go back to the last one. Right? Otherwise, you just decrement it once. So if it's 2, you decrement become the first, the index number 1 image. And always return false in this case because we don't want to go to, remember? So we don't want to go to the hypertext link. Excuse me, my allergy. So that's why you want to return false. Okay, you don't want to execute the HTML since we don't have those, and you don't need them in this case. So you do the return false. Okay, to avoid the default action. Remember we talked about last time? So that's why we return false. Process next, the same thing. You increment the picture index by 1, you go to the next one. But if it equal to 3, it means you go beyond the array because it's 0, 1, and 2. Then you reset it, the index to be 0 again, the first one. So once you go to over the array limit, you reset it back to 1. So it's a wraparound. So these two if statement called checking is for the wraparound purpose when you go beyond or below the index. And this is the same thing. After you make sure the index is correct, then you change the image source to be the image that they select, either next or previous, and always return false. Okay, so the default action is not taken. So quite simple and straightforward. Then they give you the slideshow. So this is exactly what you need to do and what you could do in assignment 5.1. Okay, so take a look on it and understand how it works, so you can apply to your assignment, your last assignment 5.1 due this Friday. So if you read ahead, you should have read this part and be able to do that assignment. And to do that is quite simple, and I'm going to show you the results after we take a break when we finish some of the lecture. But we'll do that at the end of the class today. So that's how it works on a slideshow. You set up a very basic HTML with all the elements aligned on your page. Basically, you have only one image and two hypertext link for the user to click. Okay, to cycle through the images. So very basic HTML. As we said before, you leave the content in HTML and the style, size in the CSS, and then the effect, keep it in the JavaScript, which is quite basic. So you can put as many images as you need, and it dynamically uses the length of that array and set up the previous and next link in order to change the image when you click on that. So pretty straightforward and simple, and you can use that for your assignment 5.1. Okay, so let's see, let's close it down. Let's close this too. Okay, so that's what it is on chapter 4, this particular section. The page number here is 108. So page 108, let me write down too, because the page number can be slightly off because it depends on your fonts. Kindle automatically adjusts the pages based on the display. So at home, when I read it, it's a little bit different. So it's not page 108. So here, in this particular one, then it's page 108. So be careful, it's not page 108, probably on your book. But the listing is 4.18, and you can click on the content to find it. Okay, so play with it. You can cut paste just like what I did into a Eclipse and play with it, and then enhance it for assignment 5.1. Okay, that's good enough to do your assignment 5.1, and I'll show you the expectation on that later. And there are a couple more sections, more advanced sections, to display random images or cycle through image with the random start. So those are good effects if you want to incorporate it into your web page. But the basic thing you need to understand is how to do the slideshow using this technique. So if you're interested on other effects, go and read those sections so you'll get more and better idea how to do slideshows on your page. Okay, pretty easy, straightforward. That's it for chapter 4 that you need to minimum to read creating rollover, doing more effective rollover, and also this section, how to do wraparound slideshow. the minimum you need to read those 3 sections, okay, to understand the basic way of doing rollovers and slideshow. Okay, that's it for chapter 4, and we'll talk about chapter 5 on Thursday. Okay, that will cover these particular 2 topics for this week. Okay, but I urge you to do more on those. As we said before, JavaScript is for interactive purpose, so rollover and slideshow are good features. Okay, and you can do that on JavaScript. Rollover, even though it could be done by HTML, but it's better just do it all in JavaScript. And slideshow, you have to do it on the JavaScript to make it more dynamic. Okay. Let's make sure it's still good and no one else joined, but the recording is still good. And then the YouTube recording also good, so we are good. Okay. Before we take a break, let's take a look on the assignment. First, I think only 2 submit this chest to checker assignment, so we are running out of time, so I urge you to finishing up this. I show you what we expected last time, end of last lecture. So all I need you to do is create the using the 8x8 chessboard you create last time, the black and white, the dual color board 8x8 last time, and display checker pieces on them. That's first. Second is to be able to pick one of the piece and move it to another square. A different way to do it, you can do mouse click over, or I think Maria did the drag and drop. Okay, you can do on drag start, and then on drop. Okay, when it drops. So, or you can do the mouse over, mouse click, depends on how you implement it. So take a look on those events. Mainly is test you how to handle the event happens on the board. So you can pick an image. I'm not requiring you to drag drop, so you don't have to do drag or drop. You can just do mouse event. Okay, so capture the original piece position and then move it to the destination piece position, and that's it. Or just like Maria, she does the drag drop, she did a good job, so you can move that. I do not care about the checker rules as long as you show me you can handle the events, either mouse events or drag drop events on your board, and you're done. So even though you may not show the true checker movements, it's okay. All it is showing me that you can move the piece interactively from one position to another, and that's enough. Okay, so make sure you display some pieces on the board and then be able to select one and move it to other position. Then you're done with that assignment. Okay, so don't make it too complicated. Of course, if you do have time, make it a true checker game. Then you have to check on those rules for checker and make sure they are the legal movements. Okay, but other than that, for the assignment purpose, all you have to do is show me that you can actually move a piece from one square to another. Then you're done. Then today, later, we'll talk about this assignment 5.1. Okay, talk about how to do a slideshow for users to select an avatar, whatever you select. I don't care about is avatar or any images. Just like me, I did the checker, right? So just have few images, do a slideshow on them, just like I did before in this class, and let the user select one of those and display along with the profile that you did on assignment 4.1. You're asking for the username, the weapons, the point total, and the health. Damage together, along with the avatar, they select the image, any image they select, and put it together as a profile. Then you're done. It's not too complicated. Just want to show you, you need to show us that you can do the slideshow and you can display them properly along with the other images or information on the HTML page. That's the slideshow. Okay? It's not too complicated. Then the last assignment is the final report. Okay? It's a written report. You don't have to do extra credit because I don't think you have much time left anyway. So don't worry about extra credit. Just focus on finishing up the report. 2 pages, double space. Okay. Talk about what you have learned, what you have used so far on JavaScript, and how to create the interactiveness, and what's the beneficial and productive things that you could do. And hopefully it will help you in your future career. So those things, let's write up a couple pages. Nothing to be fancy. Just saying what you have learned, what you think about it in a couple pages reports. And of course, you can reference to external websites. Okay. Another tutorial that you have, go over. That will be helpful too. That's it. That's the report. Okay. Make sure you have enough content. Okay. May not be long message. Report, but yet I want you to provide enough content in there to show me how much you have learned or how much you have used JavaScript and what's your future plan of using it. That's it for, and that will be the last assignment except other discussions. Okay, just finish those. And that should be it. Okay, I'm still the only one online. That's okay. And the recording is still good. Okay, good. Let's do that. Let's take a break. Okay, and we'll just then go over assignment 5.1 for doing the slideshow, and that will finishing up today's lecture. So we'll take a 5 minutes break before we do that. Okay, let's take a look on. Okay, no one else on it right now. Okay, we'll keep the full screen since we do need that mode. Okay, so we'll come back and talk about assignment 5.1 in about 5 minutes. Thank you. back. Let's take a look on the camera. Everything seems to be working. Full screen mode is on, and then no one else online yet. And this recording, sharing full screen, good. And then the YouTube is still active. Very good. Okay. Now this is assignment 5.1 to be due. That's your last assignment. JavaScript avatar slideshow. Making use of your previous assignment 4.1 when you ask for users input, their profile, and then doing a slideshow, let them select, and then you display the particular image or avatar they select, and also the information they have entered. Okay, that's all. As usual, I already have something created. So first thing first, let's take a look on what it does. You don't have to do it the way I did it, okay? But all I do is, you can, using the previous example we showed you in the book for slideshow, the top part is exactly what was included in that section, building wraparound slideshow. Basically, I just make use of that section, change the size a little bit, so you allow them to select, going through a slideshow and select that particular image or avatar you need, they want, and then you can have a button say select, or all I did is click on the image and then it will choose that particular image avatar they needed, along with the information display. So I say the user profile is this, along with the image that they select. Okay, so of course I didn't make it very fancy, just make it a straightforward display purpose, but it is your job to make it nicer if you want to use it for your portfolio. Okay, so basically you let the user select from a group of images for the avatar, okay, and then let them interactively choose and then display them along with the profile they create, the information they enter side by side, and that's it. That's assignment 5.1. So not too complicated. As I said before, the middle section here is already done in assignment 4.1. You can use the same thing combined with the example in the book, how to do a wraparound slideshow, and then display them together after they selected. All you have to do is make it a selection and then change the image, selection image for the profile, and then you're done for this assignment. So it's not too complicated. It's the combining what you had and what's in the book and add on a selection feature and display it, and that's it, you're done. So not too complicated. Okay, and that's why I used the form JavaScript, and I'm making use of the HTML. Okay, similar to this. Okay, just add on a few things, combine them together with the form that I had in the previous assignment, combine with the forms that I have with the previous assignment. Okay. And then the previous form to handle, and then of course, you know, the functions that to create them. Set on some features, basically using a similar thing you have, and then add on some capability to select the image. Okay, combining the form, then that's all. So I have the JavaScript handle the form like previous one. So you can see one of the things we show you here is, to reuse. So we have assignment 4.1 with the HTML. I combine this HTML, this is from 4.1, combine this with the newer one, with the image slideshows, combine those into a single HTML, and then of course add on the final display for what they select. And on the JavaScript, I didn't change anything. My form is still the same, didn't change anything at all. It's the same. And then on the JavaScript, for this slideshow, add on something more. Didn't change anything on those, just like I showed you in the book. Add on a feature to select the image when I click. And that's it, then I'm done. So pretty easy if you know what you have done before and you know what you're going to reuse. So all it does is combine HTML and include to JavaScript, combine with the slideshow images and the form, then you're done. So pretty straightforward. And then you have this effect. Of course, you will need to have your own images, and your display format will be slightly different than mine, which is okay. As long as you show me that you could combine those features together and let the user select from your slideshow, either click on the image or have a button say select, and then display it along with their profile that they enter in the form, then you're done. Okay, so pretty straightforward and easy to do. Okay, so as I said before, reuse is important. So make sure you can reuse the old JavaScript for the form and reuse what's in the book to process the slideshow and add on simple things to enhance your page, and then you have the final result as requested in the assignment. Of course, you can make it a lot better looking than mine. I just wanted to show it to you, but you should make it look a lot nicer than just plain sequential display. Okay, if you do have a game design in your portfolio, you can add on this front end for user log on and for them to select the avatar. Okay, and incorporate into your game, so make it looks more professional. Okay, that's it for assignment 5.1. Okay, so not too complicated. You have to show me how to combine what you have previously along with the slideshow. You can do your own slideshow, or you can just use the example provided in the book, which is listing 4.18 around page 108, and you can do that and create this assignment 5.1 for your own purpose. That's it, then you're done. Okay? So not too complicated. So do not think this final project is complicated. Okay, it's not. Let's go back. And that should conclude, other than the final report, which I talked about before the break. And you want to do extra credit, you're welcome to. I don't think you needed it. As long as you're finishing up the final report, then you should be okay on your grade. But if you want to do it, do that. And making sure you don't miss those discussions also to be due on Thursday. And on Thursday, we will cover we'll cover the final 2 topics on Windows, pop-up windows and frames. And that's it. However, since we do have time left, I do want to go back a little bit. Particularly, Maria already tried and worked successfully using the drag and drop feature on her checkerboard. Okay, she has some minor issue that she wants to fix, but I told her not necessary, as long as she already showed me that she can handle the drag and drop features and to move the pieces, then it's done. It already shown me that she's capable of doing the event handling and then also doing a drag drop on the pieces, and that's all it needed. So, or you use the mouse event to implement it, it's okay too. Now we have talked about the mouse event, so I'm not going to go over that again. But however, the drag drop, since she does use it, I just want to take a look on it. I think when I looked at it yesterday, I look at one of the tutorial. Yeah, I think this is the one I look at. I think this is the one she looked at also, because I do look at the similarity in her code. Okay, HTML5 drop, drag and drop. Okay, so you're interested, do HTML drag start, go to W3 School. I think we came to this site before. The good thing about this w3school.com, you ignore all those advertisements. The good thing about this website is it does give you simple, straightforward examples, very simple examples, which is easy to learn. Okay, so come here and look at some of the examples like this one, show you how to do drag drops. Okay, and show you a example to write the script. Okay, one of the things we haven't done too much, we did cover last time, is to look at the events. When something happens, when someone click or someone do something on your HTML page, there is an event occur. And once it occurs, you have to use a event handler to deal with it. And sometimes you do have to know more information about the event, like this case. Okay, so you want to allow drop, then you want to disable prevent the default. Sometimes you need to do that. And this particular one is when you do a on drag start, you call the drag. The first thing you want to do is capture. Okay, where you come from and where you put it. Okay, so I think you use this capability for the checkboard. okay, using this program, similar. Okay. So on a drag situation, on start, you do a drag event. The reason for that is you want to capture the data first, and you want to capture the event ID as text. Okay, you want to capture the event ID. So from the event target and the ID, which is that particular image. Then make it a draggable element. By default, image are already draggable. You really do not need this, but it's nice to have. So by default, I believe HTML5 images are all draggable by default. So you really do not need this. It's nice to have in case you want to make it non-draggable. Then you put false. Okay. So on start, we capture the target ID. Then come to the division here. You want to drop it on the division. First of all, you have to allow this division to be droppable. If you don't do that, you cannot drop things on it. Okay. So we do the on drag over to allow droppable. Okay. You prevent other effects first and make it draggable, and then on drop, when something drop on it, like this case, you also pass the event to the drop function, and you prevent the default. And then because we have saved set data, we saved the target ID previously, now you can retrieve it back from the data transfer. You can get the data back, which is as text, and set the data, which is the target ID. Okay. Then you can append that particular element onto the target. Okay, so you do this by using the ID store previously, which is the image, and then drop it onto the current target, which is this box, and append that element onto that box as an image. So that's how it works. Okay. So if you have not done your checkerboard, this is a technique you can borrow and use for doing drag drop from one to another. Same thing, you have to make your checker image. Okay, make your checker image to be draggable, and on start you capture the name, the target, okay, of the image, and then when it drop to the particular square on the checkerboard, you make that particular square allow drop, and then when the piece was dropped onto that particular square, you change the image. Okay, by using the saved image name, and then you can do append child if you want to, or you can just change the image source directly on that particular square and change the image. Okay, so this simple example give you a way to do a drag drop on your checkerboard. So I think it's pretty easy to understand. So I want to incorporate this into this lecture, since we did not talk about drag drop. We talk about mouse. You can also do mouse events. That's what I did when I implement this checkerboard on the example that I showed you last time. So I used the mouse event. Okay. You can also do mouse event to capture where you come from, and then using a mouse event to capture where it will go. So you can move the checker piece from the original to the target destination. Or you can do this drag drop event. Using this example, exact same thing, modify it to your purpose. And then you can do that on your checkerboard to drag drop your pieces, okay, onto another square. So I think it is a very straightforward example. So please, if you do not or have not used drag drop function or features before, this is a great example to use that, to do it. Okay, that will be helpful. That's why I want to incorporate this into this lecture. Hopefully help you a little bit, since I think 2 of you have not done this assignment. So hopefully this will help you and to do that assignment previously, 4.2 I think. Okay, take a look on it. And in any case, it is good to understand how to do drag drop. Okay, it's a feature that's very handy for interactive page, particularly when you deal with images. Okay. So please, as I said, go to W3 School and look at HTML5 drag and drop, and you'll find this particular example. Okay. Same thing, just like the previous page I showed you. The W3 School HTML give you very simple examples and also show you some JavaScript that you could do, like this drag drop. Okay, so you need to go back and review those. This is a good website to find all the information needed that we have talked about in this class too. Okay, that's it. Recording is still working. Let's go back to YouTube. The YouTube recording also is still working, so we're good. So that's as much assistance I can provide you on assignment 4.2, which is the chess to checker. You can use either the mouse event, similar mechanism, to capture where you come from and then to go to where you want to place the piece, the target. Or you can use drag drop feature that I just showed you to capture, same thing, where you come from when you drag start, and also when you place it on the drop function. Okay, by using the event. That's what I want to talk about, is the event handling. Okay, the information is in the event when something happened, like on drop, drag over, or on start. So along with the event, you have information like the target ID. On the mouse, you can have the mouse position and things like that. So you can capture those from the event. So it depends which event. Okay, and by doing that, then you can capture the original position and the target position, and then you can place them. Okay, so that's as much help I can provide to you on this. And of course, we did that on 5.1, and we talked about 5.2, so I'm not going to repeat that. So I hope you have enough assistance to finishing up these last 2 assignments. Okay, then I think you have learned enough about JavaScript. But most important, making sure you organize your code, HTML for the content, CSS for the style, and then JavaScript for interactive actions on your page, and then you're done. That's the purpose of this class. Okay, and then we're finishing up the last two topics on Thursday, and other than that, I don't have anything else to cover, so that should conclude our class for today. Okay, everything seems working, so let me take a look, and still recording, so I think we're good. That's it for today. So please feel free, making sure you let me know, just like Maria, she sent me a couple emails concerning about that issue. So don't spend much time on it. If you're stuck on something, just like what I told her, don't need to worry about the fixes, because she already showed me enough that she have learned how to use the drag and drop events and handle the events. So that's all. Okay, so don't worry about other restriction like on checkerboard rules and things like that. So as long as you show me that you can do the event handling on either drag drop or mouse events, then it's all good for this particular 4.2 assignment. Okay, so if you have any question, please go ahead and send me information, let me answer you instead of spending much time going around the issue. Okay, since we don't have much time left. That will conclude our lecture for today, lecture number 13. So this Thursday will be our last one, the last lecture, and then we will go over this, maybe the assignment one more time, but since that's the last day of Friday. Actually, Friday is the last day you submit, so you still have a little bit more time, but I hope at least you have tried to finishing up these two assignments first before Thursday. Okay, because you don't have much time left, and everything you did not submit must be submitted by Friday. No negotiation. Okay, because I have to finishing up the final grade by the weekend, so you have to submit everything by Friday. That will conclude our lecture today. Thanks for joining. I'm going to close out the recording. First, let me close out this one. Thank you. Then I will close out the YouTube recording.